Cameras, are you folks ready? I don't want to go before I should. All right. Good morning. My name is Blake Huffman, and today I'm here to announce my candidacy for the governor of Minnesota. I'm a Republican and will seek the Republican endorsement. I want to first thank those that are here with me today, my friends, my family. We have some women that are living in our nonprofit house as well that are here, and it means a lot that everyone is here for me. You know, I am passionate about Minnesota. I'm a lifelong resident of this state. My wife Joy and I raised our family here, and I started my business career here. I know what Minnesota is capable of accomplishing, but unfortunately we are not living up to that as a state. My vision, which I believe is a vision we can all agree upon, is one that has our children fully educated. Whether a child has been in Minnesota their entire life or is a relative newcomer to Minnesota, I am confident that a comprehensive yet flexible education for our children is a shared Minnesota value. My vision also includes that all adults that are able to work are employed to their fullest capacity. It's too simple to only talk about the unemployment rate, which is low, but a far more important data point is the underemployment rate. The number of people working jobs below their potential wages or their former wages, especially in a handful of sectors, it remains far too high. Being a Minnesotan, my vision also includes quality of life features such as safe neighborhoods, numerous year-long outdoor activities, and a diversity of housing that fits one's entire life. While these visions are common sense to many, the electeds in St. Paul and Washington, D.C. do not always seem to agree. We have some of the best high schools in the country, yet we have a large graduation gap between ethnicities. We have a great public and private university system, but our young people are leaving for new locations and not turning their innovative ideas into Minnesota companies and Minnesota jobs. One thing that will separate me from all candidates that are currently in the state or federal level is that I have experience, I have know-how, I have the ability to get things done. As a Ramsey County Commissioner, I have worked hard to get the property in Arden Hills that was once known as the Twin Cities Army and Ammunition Plant, or TCAP, ready for development. What once was Minnesota's largest Superfund site is now cleaned up. Soon that property will be sold to a private developer who will create 4,000 to 6,000 private sector jobs, good paying permanent jobs, nearly 1,500 housing units, and an entertainment district that will rival any in the state. The economic impact of this development is incredible. $10 to $15 million of property tax will be generated annually, and thousands of construction jobs equaling millions in salaries will be created. I played a role in keeping a Fortune 200 company here in Minnesota, Land O'Lakes. Not only are they staying in Minnesota for the foreseeable future, but they are now adding to their Minnesota employment base and building a new headquarters building in Arden Hills. In Vadnais Heights, I led efforts for the county to purchase a bankrupt hockey rink. I believe hockey rinks in Minnesota are as important as parks. Due in large part to wonderful staff, the rink now turns a profit, and the 3 outlots that were at the site have been sold to the private sector, creating 100 jobs and over $400,000 of property tax annually. These are just a few examples of how I led the government in participating in economic development and setting the stage for private sector job growth. A few years ago, I made an intentional decision. At the time, I was an executive level position at a national bank, and it was a great job that paid well and offered great challenges to solve each day. But it also left me unfulfilled. So I made the conscious decision to leave the corporate world and dedicate my life to public service. I started a nonprofit that I still run today that provides housing to veterans and domestic violence survivors, 2 populations that have extremely high homelessness rates. Using my business skills, I created a different model, and today we have built or renovated dozens of homes for these groups that are collectively housing hundreds of individuals. My experience as a nonprofit leader has taught me 2 things about Minnesotans. One is they are the kindest, most generous people in the entire world, but also that they want to play a role in solving problems, not just simply letting the government solve problems. Let me conclude my remarks this morning by telling you that my primary focus during this campaign is supporting private sector job growth. From my experience as a Ramsey County Commissioner, I know that having a good paying job is not everything, but it's the first thing. Over the next several months, I will share my thoughts on what will drive that job growth. Things like connecting high school students that are not headed to college with good paying technical jobs such as those available in the building trades, supporting veteran to work programs, finding ways to work more finding ways to make work more friendly for women who are balancing the need to be an employee and a mom. I will also, starting next week, tour the, and I look forward to meeting with you and hearing your ideas. Please join me in working to build Minnesota, making it an even better place to live. Let's end the talk, let's end the rhetoric, and get down to Minnesota values of creating jobs so all can prosper, expand our economy, so everyone has a clear path to innovation. Thank you very much. I'll take a few questions if there are some.
Has there just been too much gridlock around here? Is that what you're trying to
Well,
say?
you think about what's happened in DC, and St. Paul certainly seems to be headed that same way, where very little gets done, lots gets talked about, but very little gets done that helps us on Main Street.
Mr. Huffman,
Sir.
The Republican agenda here at the legislature, how much of it do you embrace? Is there anything you don't like about it? Any specifics you want to give us?
Sure. I'll tell you this, the Republican agenda right now that's focused on jobs, I support that incredibly. I'm a big fan, obviously, as I talked about there. I think the things that I'm concerned about is some of the buses. I don't like the fact that we're cutting the buses. I think buses are a great tool to get people from the city out to the suburb where jobs are. I think there's good conversation on how we return the surplus, how we invest that surplus in creating more jobs.
There was one part of the agenda which is sick and safe time that will get rid of the option to do that in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Republicans want to do that as part of overriding it. What are your thoughts?
Sure, I don't support government's mandated sick and vacation time. That's not what I believe. But I also, though, believe that if we're the party of small business and small individuals, we shouldn't be mandating a statewide directive on that.
You mean the state mandating what cities do, you mean?
Well, right now, the Republican process of statewide exemption, I don't support that. Option to run in the primary.
Would you, Commissioner Huffman, cite an example of something that should have been done by now here at the state level that they've missed?
Certainly. Well, the bonding bill the last 2 years, right? And so far in this year, we haven't seen the bonding bill at least come to fruition. Yeah, in our area in Ramsey, northern Ramsey County, there's literally thousands of jobs waiting to happen once a bonding bill for infrastructure gets completed.
When Congressman Walz announced, he made a big point about one Minnesota versus this urban-rural split that we hear a lot about. What do you think about that, the balance between greater Minnesota and the cities?
Certainly, we need to make sure, we do need one Minnesota. We need a Minnesota that works together. We've always done that traditionally. I don't know that a person from Washington, D.C. is the one to deliver the anecdote for that, but I do believe that we can work together.
Why do you see the county commissioners kind of perch a good one to launch from? We don't see a lot of county commissioners who do run for governor. Last one is the nominee, of course.
Right.
Wasn't successful.
Right, it's a great spot in the sense of you get things done, right? So the TCAP, the Arsenal property in Arden Hills, if that was set at the state level, it'd still be undone, yet the 7 of us commissioners got to a point where we were able to make it happen, working with the city of Arden Hills.
Well, what makes you think that, from your background and your talents, that you can get past some of this gridlock you talked about? Some of this, Minnesota's a very divided state right now,
Right.
politically.
Right.
What do you have? Do you think you can overcome that current leaders in both parties haven't been able to?
Sure. So first of all, is my experience. I've got the unique experience as a leadership in the business sector, nonprofit sector, and political sector. I certainly have done that, and I've demonstrated that in Ramsey County. At one point, I was the only elected Republican in Ramsey County, yet still was able to make a significant inroads on all the things that I've just talked about here today, creating jobs, et cetera.
Speaker Dowd has made light rail one of the rallying points because he knows it's a lightning rod. Where are you on light rail? Have you ridden the Green Line?
I've ridden the Green Line several times. It's an easy way to get from here to Minneapolis if I have meetings in downtown. It certainly is legitimate to criticize a $2 billion offer like we have on the table now from Southwest Corridor. I think transit, when it makes sense, it's great. When it doesn't make sense, and when it's overpriced, like with the Southwest Corridor, and some of the other ones, it doesn't make sense. I think buses are flexible. Buses can go here tomorrow, and they're there the next day as needed.
So do you think Minnesota should turn down that money then, that's sitting there from the federal government to build it?
I don't support building a $2 billion infrastructure on that.
So it's not, because a lot of times they make the argument that that money's gonna be spent somewhere else anyway, if it's not spent here, but you're saying it's all tax dollars?
Well, I'm saying even the Minnesota piece of it, which is roughly half, is $1 billion. That could be, that's a lot of infrastructure that could be built elsewhere.
These days, it's hard to talk about anything about politics without coming back to America's President, Donald Trump. It was certainly controversial both within and without the Republican Party. What are your thoughts on the president and
Sure.
what he's been doing?
Sure, and what you see today in the, just the whole environment in Washington DC is what we need to make sure does not happen here in Minnesota, where we have absolutely every issue, no matter what it is, what color is the sky, is a left versus right issue. You know, Mr. Trump became President Trump, and so when I'm governor, I'll look forward to working with him.
But isn't our federal government now is all controlled by Republicans? If you were elected and presumably Republicans held on here to hold onto the majorities, it would be the same situation. What's gonna make a difference if it's all right at the moment?
Well, I mean, obviously here in Minnesota, we aren't getting things done because we have divided government, because we have people that can't find common ground, and that'll be one of the things that I'll keep working on. I mean, the message I talked about today about creating jobs, about strengthening the middle class, about making sure kids have an education that they can go and get jobs with is not left, it's not right, it's Minnesota.
What number term are you in?
I just won my reelection to my second term.
Second term, when does that end?
It's tied with the presidential year, so I'm just starting into my second term.
Can you tell us who you brought with us today? Who you brought with you today?
I sure can. So my wife Joy, and two of our brand new grandchildren, Eden and Blake, my son Alex, and some good friends, Joe, my nephews David and Taylor, and just a whole bunch of other good friends. I'll just leave it at that. Very good. Hey, I thank you all for coming, and you have my press packet. There's ways to get a hold of us anytime you need to. Thank you. I'm sorry? 52. Thank you.
Chrissy, what do I have?
Kind of impressed. Yes. You're admiring it now. Yeah.
Of course. Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I just want to thanks so much.
There you go.
Let's get up here. Let's get the seal behind us here.
The seal.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
Hi,